Magoha has decried the major useless courses offered by the Kenyan universities.
God is good, and all the time. Let me just start saying, my colleagues on this side and my very respectable professional colleagues on this side, good morning. I think I'm very happy to be here in this capacity. In fact, you must be wondering what I'm doing on this side. But let us just say that it is God's making. And I want to be very candid this morning. I thought I would have a lot of time to share with you. Unfortunately, I will not have time. Like Professor Soda said, we shall arrange for another time when we engage and discuss things in an open manner. You may recall that I was in the KUPS board, so I'm also quite well versed with what is happening at KUPS. You may also recall that very much against my personal wish, I was taken to NEC to head it, and what I found there is history. But I'm saying so because that history has affected all of you and has therefore affected the university industry in this country. Because we found out that the supply line for the universities was an artificial supply line. And when it was right-sized, then we had issues of numbers in terms of access, as my colleague has said. But you can't talk about access without quality first. Quality and relevance. And you will now say, perhaps I have come to this side, therefore I'm speaking another language. I need some water. But unfortunately, when you are at a different pedestal, you see the whole picture. So as my very dear colleagues in the university sector, I'm still faculty. In fact, I'm still going to be teaching my lecture on cancer of the prostate, despite the fact that I'm a cabinet minister. But the point is, what is a university? As top grade scholars, what is a university? Do we still define the university and conceptualize it the way it should be? And I will not take credit for defining for you what a university is, but in very simple terms, you don't just teach in a university, but you must also do research there. So could there be a problem in our country as we stand now? Could there be a problem in our country as we stand now, where we have allowed our intellectual capabilities to go to sleep, and they are being driven by other people who for themselves, you can't blame them, because they don't know what a university is. You are the people who know what a university is. And in your honest opinion, do you think all those universities claiming to be universities are universities? Are we speaking together? Because what has happened in this country and what everybody is afraid to say, I, as Professor Magoha, son of Magoha, I will tell you, we had very fine universities, about 10 of them, and then there was an uncontrolled proliferation, which is still going on, which has produced some new fine universities, but some that should not even exist there. And then the government policy has been to pull down the ones that were already at an international level and bring them to the same level with all the others. And then we are saying, oh, there's a funding problem. Of course there will be a funding problem, and it will persist. A university is not an employment agency in your local area for employing your tribesmen. It is not a political tool for politicians to endear themselves to the local people. And somebody will have to convince me, as a reasonably top-grade professor, That if you have 30 or 40 square kilometers, why are we allowing 4 or 5 universities in those domains? Are those things universities? We go to Oxford. For those of you who have been there are 38 odd colleges there. And each of those colleges is as large as University of Nairobi. So if we are going to solve the problem as vice chancellors and principals, first of all, we have to accept that the problem is there. And it is a serious one. And that a politician is not going to solve it for you. Why, for example, should almost all the universities, in fact, I think all of them, the key person that defines the university is the academic staff. First of all, you don't have enough, and the ones you have are not well trained, and they are less than 30% of your staff. What are you going to tell the people out there? Oh, please give us money. The money you are asking from government is our own money that we pay as tax. So I think the first point that I'm making is that in order for us to be sustainable, in order for the university system to be sustainable in this country, the solution must start with the managers, where you have got to right size and ensure that if there is a professor, maybe if there are 3 or 4 professors, maybe there's one other person. But all this baggage that we are paying for people who are not relevant is taken away. You don't have to agree with me, because if you don't, give it 10 years, you will die naturally. Because it is not possible for the government to give you the money you are asking for. My dearest colleagues, the second point I want to make. In my area, that's why we are not good traders. And I want to tell you why. If I open a shop to sell eggs in Yala, and I go and tell my friend, tomorrow he will open another shop to sell eggs next to me. Then his friend will also come and open a shop to sell eggs next to him. So you'll have 10 shops following each other, doing what? Selling eggs. Unfortunately, that is where you have gone. And nobody is going to get you out of there unless you do it yourselves. Why don't we have universities having their niches and then demanding for government to fund them? That for us, this is our strength. Our strength is in water, because there is water stress, there is water scarcity in the country. Our strength is in water, and we want full funding from government, because then we are doing research in water, and this is going to have impact even in the Big Four agenda. Can somebody tell me why we produce 5,000 economists and they can't, and then they go and join a waiting list for jobs? Am I talking to somebody? Then there is this grace, the third one. You will have to forgive me, but those who know me like Ndungu there will know that's the way I am. I have not changed. And at my age, you don't change. Why are you creating new programs that are irrelevant to our economy? Why? Why are you so keen on there are so many programs, I think there are over 100 and something, that no child has applied to go to. A sizable number of them are new. Could it be that we have forgotten that we are scholars and we have just become traders? Those are the issues I wanted to put in a very open manner. If a program, why do you want the government, for example, to fund a program with 2 or 3 people? And unfortunately, your boss is my close friend, Professor Duol. I don't know where he has, he has disappeared to. Oh, he's here. Here you go up. We have a youth bulge. And if you want to help government and the country, let us think of how to ensure that youth bulge is not just taken to university. Because from my experience, from my very short experience, I have found out that we are producing certificates, unfortunately even PhDs and masters from your institutions. So somebody, me young, even when I went to parliament, I had a few, but most of the people have them like this. If you have interviewed, have you not noticed? Then you start interviewing for the PhD, and the guy doesn't even know the topic. Do you get the point? Then you say, this one, to wake a candle, let us interview him at a master's level. And you find even that one, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. And he squeaks through with a bachelor's one. Who do you expect to ensure quality at the universities? It's not about territories, because that's where we have gone. It is not about territories. I would have been happier, for example, I will not choose any part of Kenya, but in any, because the mistake has been done through and through, and I can tell you that the short time I've been in the ministry, the requests for new universities from politicians are over 10. Now, a politician is not going to teach me how to decide that a university should be somewhere. That one you can take to the bank. But are you ready to help me in this war, where you yourself sit down and write size and say, I think an excellent university like Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, why is it teaching, I'm doing gumi there, so that's why I'm talking about it. Why is it teaching economics? Why? Why are you not demanding money from government to ensure that you produce more engineers and people that are technically oriented? I think that is, we have a crisis, and it is a crisis which, you can call me the madman in the market, it is a crisis which you will have to deal with either yesterday or today or tomorrow. The choice is yours. And you will have to forgive me again, because the leadership within universities, the leadership within the councils, I had the singular pleasure of serving the University of Nairobi with two excellent councils. Are we together? A university council is supposed to advise and enrich you. But when it comes to the point where you are the one enriching them, you know that is not a council. So there's even a problem, because we have proliferated so much, and then you think once somebody has a PhD, he has capacity to head a council, and you find that when the person comes, you have much more experience than the person. I learned and I looked like I was very, very intelligent, because I was learning from the best. The SK Macharyas of this world, the John Simbas of this world, the Chandarias of this world, Isaac Awondos of this world. If I had been given Professor Aduels of this world, with all due respect, Professor Nyabundis of this world, with all due respect, that is what we call in medicine inbreeding. Are you listening? So the critical final thing, I will stop there. There is need for us to link the industry with universities, and it should be done yesterday. And as far as I'm concerned, John Simba, at the time I had him, I think he had a bachelor's degree in law. But I can tell you, as a professor, I learned so much from him. Joseph Barage Wanjui, my chancellor, with whom we fought severally, did not have a PhD, but I learned so much from them. That's why you see in me there's a mixture of the teacher and the business person. That has disappeared. Are we together? And if I've told you what you didn't want to hear, then I'm very happy, because that's why I came. Because then you go and reflect them, and those of you who are wise will start and look at their universities. Is this a tribal university? My home is Kanyanyaini. my university is Kanyanyaini, does it only have Kanyanyaini people there? If that is the case, then you start dealing with it yesterday. Don't wait for us to come and do it for you. In terms of what I've come to do at COOPS, I want to just say very quickly, because of lack of time, that 1 out of 7 going to university, by international standards, is good enough. Are we together? Now that we proliferated, when there was too much input, would you rather the children steal again? Because when I was VC, I think I removed over 3,000 children because they were cheating. And that culture came from where they came from. But I can assure you that even for this year's exam, it is ready and it will be seen on the examination day. So are you going to sit there saying, government, you must give us money? No, do your work first. If you have people on contract whom you had hired because there were Module 2 programs, ask them to go home. Protect the academic staff. If you have academic staff whose programs are no longer relevant, then find a way of disengaging them or encouraging them to go to universities that are offering those programs. That's why I was very happy when Professor Suda said, talk to yourselves. Are we together? Otherwise, we are actually doomed. There is pride in Kenyatta University saying, I have a campus in this place, and that campus is you have the same faculty, but it's a campus that it looks like Kenyatta University. You don't need to have a campus on top of a tree so that you are looking for money, because you are not going to survive. I am sure we are going to engage about money issues, but what I'm saying is that before you come to me with a bowl, tell me what you have done yourself. In fact, one of the people who was demanding a university is a professor. I told him, but you are a professor. And in this area, there's a university which is so important. Oh, that one is in that county. And his answer was, the constitution says there should be a university in every constituency. I said, yes, but it doesn't say it should be there in X number of time, in X number of years. So it might take 100 years for that to happen, if it is done properly. And I think it ended there. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm very proud to be among you again. It must be God's doing, because I thought I was now going to retire. But I take it as one day at a time. By the grace of God, I hope that we shall be able to work together, because I fully understand your issues. The ground has changed. And just to end by telling you that in the first year at NEC, I went through the maths papers, and over 50% of our children scored 0. That's where we had reached. And that's why you are getting that if things had not changed, they would have come to university. Some of them would have been in your universities now. So thank you all very much for having thought me worthy to come this morning. And I wish you all the very best. But I think going forward, it is going to be business unusual. It cannot be business as usual. You must start thinking the way the South Africans did on their own. Is it a good time to start thinking about right sizing? You can right size internally or you right size externally in order to survive. Otherwise, you're not going to survive by just saying, well, let's go on strike because we need money. Where is the money going to come from? Tell me. So, Bwana Muraguri, let me stop it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Magoha.
He said that over 98 degree courses were not selected by the candidates. This will now render all the lecturers who lecture them jobless.
Well, the board, you allow me to just hold you up on stage just a bit, and then I'll guide you. So we'll only have our chief guest, that's Professor Magoha. We'll also have Dr. John Muraguri, and also have